Mr. Deputy Speaker, in reviewing this bill, I cannot help but notice that some years ago, when McKinsey came up with 5 main implications for the public sector moving into the future, in a paper titled Global Trends Affecting the Public Sector, there were 5 important and critical points which I think are relevant and I'm going to share today. Firstly, we must radically increase the productivity of our public sector and public services. Secondly, the public service has to evolve and change their relationship with citizens in order to address changing and increasing needs. Thirdly, the public service has to redraw the organization landscape in order to deliver high-quality services. Fourth, the public service has to achieve major cultural change that puts data at the heart of policy making. And finally, the public service must find new ways to attract and retain scarce talent, and thus there will be competition with the private sector. I agree that these 5 points serve as broad guides for us. This bill, sir, aims to create a uniform governance framework across the public sector in Singapore. Many agencies currently have their own internal policies and guidelines, but this bill will provide an overarching legislation and benchmark the standards of governance that should be adhered to. Can I please make some points? Firstly, currently various provisions of this bill are already found in the constituting acts of some public sector agencies. Example, the disclosure of interests, proper financial record keeping, budget estimates, annual reports and submissions, etc. Can the Minister clarify for us whether some of these will prevail or will they be considered defunct with the new act in place? The clarity will be necessary to ensure better compliance and adoption of this bill. In Section 6 of the bill pertaining to data sharing directives, can we have some more details on this? Clarifications as to how it will align with PDPA where relevant, the scope of the information that will be and can be shared, and the mechanisms of sharing. Will it be electronic, for example, and what protective measures will this be guided by? Also, how about compliance to the Protection of Secrecy Acts, which statutory bodies and government bodies have to abide by currently? Will we be seeing some changes, or will the clauses from this Act need to be incorporated into this new bill that we are debating today? With many steps in our processes in the public service involving human factors, we know that there is a likelihood of errors happening. Take the example of the recent MOE schools data leak. How can we learn from these incidences and incorporate some of these lessons into policy? As across the public sector, sir, there will be more handling of this big data. Can the Minister share with us on how these data will be stored? Will there need to be a standalone PC or other approved devices that can be used? Who will have access to the data? How much and which parts of the data are permissible for research purposes? Also, moving into all these, will there need to be some informed consent, a generic one perhaps, by the public and users of the public services at some point in time? Finally, will the better coordination and oversight that this bill has to offer is a strategic move moving forwards, but who will play the coordinating role? Will it be MCI, or what about the Smart Nation and Digital Government Office? So perhaps some clarification on that as well. I look forward to these clarifications with this important bill that we are debating today. The protection against all and potential abuses and misuse are preventive steps, and we have to incorporate this now at the planning stages before the final implementation of the bill. I support the bill. Thank you.